chomping at the bit. Chomping at the bit.
There you go.
I looked out and saw the sister that I talked to yesterday. And she surprised me today with her appearance.
Alhamdulillah.
I hope that this lesson is informative. I hope the things that are said strikes a chord in your memory banks. In reference to our prophet, Professor Paul Nathaniel Johnson, peace be with him,
Alhamdulillah.
and blessings of the Most High God be upon him. I want to thank you for coming. And the lesson that I chose today, if you thought your brother talked on the stump last week, I plan to talk on the stump. When I get down, you're going to tell me to sit down. No, I won't do that. I'd like to give reference to 2 or 3 different writers. And one of the writers that I have here today was the high priest of astrophysics or astroscience. And his name was Brother Iyawaya. He was the astrologer in our temple. He was the one who was responsible for making the wings, drawing the wings, and he taught astrology, or he taught astronomy. He taught astrology. This lesson, and Brother Rahotep should have been here because he asked the question about the 7 heavens last week. And I said that I'm going to search my papers to see if I can find something to bring him to explain what this particular thing that he asked for. And what I chose was from Brother Iyawaya, entitled The Assessment of the 7 Heavens. Bisem Leuli Mihiru Amin Roh, in the name of the Most High God, the Beneficent, the Merciful. After digging into the mysteries of astrology for many years, I began to be puzzled by the fact that the SUN could be narrowed down to the rulership of one sign. And that particular symbol that he has on this page is the symbol of Leo. In all the information coming to me about the solar system, this was something to be wondered about, considering the importance of the sun, or Ra. The sun rules the whole zodiac, all 12 of the signs, the whole solar system. In fact, if there was no sun, then there would be no solar system. I have observed that the sun is stronger, perhaps 10 times stronger in each sign than the planet that rules that sign. I was born under the sign of Sagittarius. Why? Because the sun was in Sagittarius, and the ruler of Sagittarius at that time was in Cancer. Why couldn't I claim to be born under Cancer? Because the sun is the strongest, and the sun was in Sagittarius, 10 times stronger. So the sun, Ra, is the master and should be respected and held high on his throne. The sun gives life, light, and energy. Without the sun, Ra, there would be no solar system. So I set out to reconstruct the rulership of the planets by studying the nature of the planets and the signs. I believe the mistake was made by the ancient Greeks and Romans. After deep study, I set out to put the rulers in their rightful places and And this study has proved itself. I have presumed that Mars rules Aries, Amun, and Leo, Nubia, as being in harmony with the Mars temperament. This may be somewhat strange to you, but if you were ever a student of astrology, these names and symbols and everything that goes along with this, as I said, you must remember that the brother who wrote this letter was taught by the Rasul, peace be upon him. So the things that he brought forth were the things either taught to him by the Rasul or things that he gathered from the Rasul's conversation. Aries, Amun, being the head of the zodiac, leads the pack by the strength of his mind, much courage, and leading ability. He or she is usually first in everything, as their minds are made up in advance. Jack Johnson, Paul Robeson, Florence Ziegfeld, Pearl Bailey, Charlie Chaplin, Charlotte Peters, and Diana Ross were all under this particular sign. Leo is the harmonious side of Mars, braggadocious, spectacular, extravagant, circus barkers, out of this world, all words to be used in describing the spirit of Leo. Dizzy Dean, St. Louis Cardinal pitcher, who practically won every game he predicted he would. Muhammad Ali, he would predict the round of the knockout. These men evidently had Leo on the ascendant at birth. The Leo woman must always be the queen and center of whatever society she travels around in. Jackie Kennedy Onassis, Ethel Barrymore, and Mae West. Some of these people may be people that you have never recognized. You must remember when the brother wrote this letter, or wrote this lesson, it was back in 19 something. Yeah. And us old timers, we know about Mae West. We know about Ethel Barrymore. But some of you youngsters you've never heard of these names because they are pretty old. Leo shows definite Mars traits, but on the harmonious side of life. I find the moon not only rules Cancer, but has kinship with Taurus as well. The moon of Cancer represents the quiet, peaceful tranquility of the sea, while the moon Taurus represents the storms at sea, strong enough to sink ships, hurricanes, floods, and thunderstorms, which is indicative of Taurus, the bull, who butts his way through life, such as Joe Frazier, Joe Louis, and Harry S. Truman. The buck stops here. We know Capricorn rules Capricorn and are strangers in my observation. It appears that Scorpio is closely to being a house for Saturn, as Scorpio digs deep, which is Saturn's traits. We in Fahami knows that the devil Satan, is God's most trusted angel. We know that Saturn is the world's best educator, for mankind needs misery and setbacks in order to gain knowledge and know-how. And this is necessary, or the necessity is the mother of invention. It takes thunderstorms. Be vigilant. It takes thunderstorms, tornadoes, big fires, floods, volcanoes, earthquakes, extreme cold weather, extreme hot weather, wars, and accidents of all kinds. We wonder why these things happen. Did we ever hear the joke about building a fire under the donkey to force him to move? Then God needs a hatchet man to spread accidents among mankind in order to force man to learn some sense and advance in life. So the devil, Saturn, is God's hatchet man. If it wasn't for the devil, man would stand still and fade away. So if man was born in the image of God, then man must be godlike and move and learn and create and rule.
Kubaha.
So God's hatchet man, Satan, Saturn, whose middle name is experience, does his job. I am up as God's most best educator. The preface to my subject. Mr. Ham, I have read your history of the past. I witnessed this, your terrible presence, and have a vista, which is a mental or prospect embracing a series of events as long an avenue, an outlook on the future. Mr. Ham, or Mr. Black Man, you have a glorious past, which means you, Mr. Black Man of America, as well as that of Africa, you're glorious or being full of glory or exalted honor, dignity or majesty, and resplendent as a glorious time. Since then, why do you bear the cross alone and let the world go free? Are those your children whom I see hanging on those trees? Maybe your God is asleep. Allah, God, helps those who help themselves. In order to rise out of the condition Joshua defies you in, you will have to patch up your past with those who develop their brains and put forward their best efforts for success or for good luck. Nothing comes forth from one who imagines or thinks or depends upon the direct aid of the gods. Stay with me. History of civilization. America, the American citizen, says Professor Howard, works 1 month in the year for the sake of being governed. I chose this lesson because right now we're in the middle of something dynamic that's happening. We have a lottery that is exceeding $1 billion. Something unheard of. $1 billion. $1 billion, a person for $2 can win a ticket. For $1 billion. Unheard of. What's happening? It's mind-blowing. Let's find out what's happening in reality. The American citizen, says Professor Howard, works 1 month in the year for the sake of being governed. He also works 5 to support the parasitic class, which are preying on him by operation of laws. He is powerless to escape from these as they control his officials. The officials are the unions, or the union heads. 6 months in the year, he is privileged to work for himself and family. 6 months in the year, he must serve his master. Yet they are continually telling him he is a free man, and by comparison with European nations, that is, at least, half true. The English statistician Mulhall, 1887, says the revenue of the civilized nations has trembled since 1850, increased 5.5 times since 1810, and 55 times since 1680. This means that 3 times as much was taken for taxes in 1887 as there were 37 years before. 5.5 times as much money as 72 or 77 years before, and 55 times as much as 200 years ago. Okay. Have these nations increased in wealth at a corresponding rate? They have not. Not even in their population. During the days of the Negro slavery, if a Southern white man wished to describe the fact that he had been busy, he said, "I work like a nigger." The people who set up the fashion are parasites by occupation or hope to become such. They are not governed by artistic principles, though constantly misusing the word artistic. Acts of the poor classes before the parasitic class. The fashionable idea of clothing is to dress so as to appear rich, not beautiful. So what they will, they are merely engaged in a display of wealth. None of these people are capable of understanding or appreciating a high degree of refinement of beauty. They have not the mental capacity for doing so. From the artistic standpoint in fashion, in a fashion plate, is a monstrosity, and the fashionable dressed person is a gay. When the manufacturer of artificial diamonds produce them as readily as they make glass, the diamond will lose not its beauty, but its value. Okay. Why? Because the value put upon it is parasitic. It must be costly. This is not the clothes and jewelry alone, but at the hands of a parasite, the poor classes are led to automobiles, motorcycles, large houses called mansions, and etc. I wonder sometimes why the Afro-American have not applied for flying airplanes. Maybe the parasitic dealers will someday figure that out. Who knows? I do not know. When someone will set the fashion from the standpoint of the useful and show man how to make the useful beautiful, this custom may be used to and not hurt mankind. The uniform attitude of hostility which the official classes in all countries assume towards the property rights of the useful classes is not because these men are naturally bad or want to do wrong or possess allowing standards of honesty than the average citizen, but because they do not know any better. They follow a fashion. When a man is confident that he is in fashion, he is also satisfied that he is all right. It saves thinking. National life, or the parasitic laws, which build up a privileged class for just in proportion to the degradation of labor, is the enfeeblement of the national organization. I said this lesson was an insight into something that is going to happen with this $1 billion that is on the right now. When the government will take a huge chunk out of that money, maybe he'll even take a half, 500 million. And what did the government do to justify taking that kind of money? And it also puts you in a position, we are people, we cannot rise above, because every time we rise above, something pulls us back down. We cannot acquire anything, because as soon as we acquire something, a law will come along and say, you have to give so much back. The law of compensation. National life, or the parasitic laws which build up a privileged class for just in proportion to the degradation of labor, is the enfeeblement of the national organization. Admitting for the sake of argument that the donkey has been a man, or the monkey, I'm sorry, admitting for the sake of argument that the monkey has been a man for 8,000 years, how little has he learned in that great space of time? Question. It is hard to conceive of the tremendous improvement that can be made by virtue of this understanding. Greater vigor, perfect health, and strength prolonged to incredible ages, perfection in form, feature, and complexions undreamed of before are opening up to us. The black race can be made beautiful in a single generation. You hear what I said? For nearly or more than 6,000 years, when man began to multiply on the earth, they have been trying unsuccessfully to organize into a nation. No nation has ever yet been formed on a permanent basis, because none have ever allowed the taxpayer to fix the tax rate. No nation has ever been free from a parasitic class. None of them have ever been healthy. None have ever been free from a parasitic class. None have ever had fair and just statute laws. No nation has ever had laws which gave equal rights to all, special privileges to none. Such laws would make merit the sole condition of success. Laws which give special privileges to a few discourage merit and encourage fraud and crime. The first branch of the law to develop in a civil community is the common law, which is practically the same as common sense. Wealth accumulates in the hands of those able to buy laws or pay for special privileges. These statute laws gradually break down the common law and ultimately destroy the community itself. Oh, yeah. The desire for property is the mainspring of human industrial efforts, but its importance or its nature even is not fully understood. Where is there one banker in 20 that can repeat the accepted definition of the word money? They deal with it every day, but they can't tell you what it is. They can't define it. You ask a banker, president of a banker, what does the word money mean? He can't tell you. So many of their laws give one man or class of men a license to plunder other classes that they cause property to pile up in the hands of a few persons who are not the real owners. We're out here today begging for our daily bread. We beg for air, we beg for water, we beg for land, when in reality, these are ours already. We are the son of the sun. We are the fathers of all mankind. Everything that is here on this earth was given to us as dominion, being gods and goddesses, the titles that we had at one time. I spoke with someone yesterday about that. What happened to those gods and goddesses who were mentioned in the first chapter of Genesis? God gave them dominion over everything, the fish of the sea, the fowl of the air. Why is this not being spoken of more? Because it is your history. And your history is your most prized possession. This particular thing has been veiled from us as a people. It has been kept from us, and we are told something altogether different. You are told that you're the boot blacks, and you're the niggas of society. You are what everybody's supposed to wipe their shoes on. When in reality, you are masters who are servants. So many of the laws give one man or class of men a license to plunder other classes that cause property to pile up in the hands of a few persons who are not the real owners. We are paying price to get gas. That gas is in the ground. In reality, it belongs to me too. That water, it belongs to me. What I'm paying for is the man who is able to go in there and get it out and bring it out. That's what you're paying for. But the natural resource, it belongs to you. Besides, these parasitic men raises families, increase in numbers, and their aggression on the property rights of the useful classes are never ending, but always increasing. Such unjust laws are made the basis for other unfair laws, and these necessarily make property insecure. We can learn all we can about what people do. Only God's time, which is eternal, can change things after so long. You all tired?
No.
No, sir.
This is my day in the sun.
I'm due.
The law of compensation. The law of compensation. The earnest, aspiring soul does not seek neither recognition or reward. The efforts made are in themselves rewards. It does not expect glory. It performs its duty for the sole reason that it is possessed with a longing to fulfill its destiny. We're not worried about other people saying what we say. We're not worried about it. We're not looking for that glory. We're not looking for that pat on the back. We know who we are. We are sons and daughters of God, and a gift, and we have a prophet who came to teach us exactly what a thing is. It unconsciously does unto others as it would have others do unto it. There are as many different souls as there are bodies they inhabit. I ask the question, what happens to those souls once they go back to the enchanted world? What happens to those souls once we bury them? What happens to that soul at the burial site? What happens? Is that soul there, or is that soul somewhere out in the universe? Brothers and sisters, believe it or not, there are no new souls. Every one of the souls of the people that have died and left here have been reincarnated back to this earth and put in other bodies. You hear me? Ever since the dawn of time, these souls are the same souls that were here on this earth. Some people have to come back to this world to be purified because the job that they were sent here to do, they did not accomplish that job. So they were brought here to accomplish that job. This is a training center got this skin on our bodies. It ain't strong enough to even save us from that cold weather out there. But yet still a bird can live outside. A bird who has a few feathers on his back is able to live outside. Why can't we? And you think that you're smarter than a bird? There are selfish, jealous, envious, malicious, hateful, and resentful, and cold, but righteous souls. If these are built on a foundation of sand, they exist for a day, then pass to be known no more. These souls are not destroyed by God. We're under the impression, oh, he was such a bad person. Did God destroy him? No. No. God just put him in another position. And that soul gave him another body and tell him to go back to that earth and finish the job that you were supposed to do. Because everything that you do, I knew what you were going to do before you did it. I sent you there to do exactly that. God is a God who knows everything. They exist for a day, and they pass to be known no more. These souls are not destroyed by God. He neither condemns, damns, nor destroys them. If they are destroyed or lose personality, it is as a result of their own thoughts, desires, and acts or lacks of action. The weaknesses of omission being as great as those of commission. This is a crude statement here. God does not punish. What did I say?
God does not punish.
God does not punish. Everything God created was good. Everything that God made was good. God does not punish. God does not send you here to be punished. Who punishes you? Man punishes you. Man punishes you. And who is man? Man is God, and God is man. This gentleman walking around here looking, trying to find out where God was. He's searching all on the internet, all in the air, all up in the mountains. He's going to all of these different people, trying to find out where God is. All he had to do was just go in the restroom there and look in the mirror. When he looked in the mirror, he would see God. Who is God? God is man, but he is not the creator. The creator is above man, but the man has traits and characteristics of the creator in him. Am I preaching today?
You good? Yes, sir.
Wow. God does not punish. Man punishes himself. Could there be a plainer statement? Fire and brimstone, the substance of all hells of theocracy, will burn up material substance, but have no effect upon that which is spiritual. The fire and brimstone, having the power to destroy the soul, is created by the unregenerated mind and brings destruction to the soul by starving it through refusing to supply it with the constructive material that it needs, which is love, compassion, kindness, generosity, forgiveness, and other emotions which have their domain in the heart. The soul may reach a stage where it is momentarily balanced between good and evil, weighed in the balance as it were, but it cannot remain so for long. It must either push forward the righteous destiny of cosmic consciousness or gradually retrograde. No man is or can become so truly and fully good as to remove the possibility of a temporary fall. You just can't be so good, brothers. You just can't be so holy. You can't be not gonna be tested. You're gonna be tested. And that test is to find out if you have the tenacity to overcome. If you get off the track, you have to go back and get back on the track where you got off. He in whom abides truth and goodness may be tempted more frequently than the one in whom there is more evil. The man who is truly good may fall, but he will again rise through trials and tribulations that follow. And readjusting himself, he becomes stronger than ever. No man has truly failed or fallen who will refuse to stay down, but rises and tries once more. Try and try again, and you will succeed at last. This is the law or rule of compensation in the soul's actions is a means of counteracting variations as of temperature, neutralizing opposing forces as of magnetic attraction or maintaining equilibrium. This development of the soul must be studied with the use of applied psychology to oneself. With the use of psychology in oneself brings about the neutralization of a situation by means of a complementary stimulus. That is, the conscious must be at ease with self-controlling power of will. By this exercising of the thought of mind, it can compete with those opposing forces of the universe. As the lesson teaches, this is the law. Bisalam la sirak kabimini.